ReconAthlete.com podcast is brought to you by Lawnman ATX and Kreitz Market.
Who do you think wins in the fight, Colt McCoy or Chase Daniel?
Colt McCoy.
Daniel.
He from the sticks. No. Colt McCoy hunts.
Okay.
Well, I'm not talking about shooting each other.
ReconAthlete.com podcast, episode 14. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Lucero. He likes it when I say it like that. Snupe Daniel sitting in. What's up, Snoop?
Allergies.
Yeah. He was trying to go to the pharmacy this morning. They wouldn't let him get no allergy medicine, dude. Yeah. What's up with that?
Well, supposedly you can't buy a Claritin D or Allegra D like off the shelf because people make like meth out of it. So
in this America,
yeah,
you need to get what you need with money.
And when people are sick, they want relief at like 6 a.m. They don't have to wait till 10 a.m. And if you need major relief, you got to get pharmaceutical grade, you know, recreational.
You need it on the spot.
Yeah. So. Sounds like we need to call our congressman. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, Greg Abbott, he got the suspended driver's licenses owed, but he surcharges zeroed out. That's the only reason I have an ID right now. I was like an unlicensed. Well, I got my license suspended, but they were making people pay surcharges, which he said, why are people paying surcharges? And a lot of people were just driving around illegally. And if you get pulled over, you go to jail.
Yeah.
And you get your car towed.
Yeah.
But people got to get to work. They got to take their kids to school. So, legislation is important.
Yeah. Shout out to Governor Abbott. I don't always agree with him, but you know what? Hey, the man does seem to have some logic when it comes to something like that.
I just like it when he rolls up to the coin tosses of those important football games. We just wheels on up.
And I was gonna say, thanks for cutting the red tape. And he went up with a wheelchair.
He said rolls up.
You do.
Episode 14, Recon Podcast. Let's go ahead and get into it, fellas. We're gonna go over high school football real quick. Last night, Vista Ridge 64-20 winners over Leander. Vista bouncing back from the loss to Vandergrift last week. Cedar Park 52, Conley 14. Surprisingly, Conley still, winless on the season. Not surprisingly that they lost to Cedar Park because Cedar Park's a very good team. But Conley has so much talent on that squad that it's hard for me to believe that they don't have a win in the win column yet. Hutto 34, Georgetown 18. Makai Kimball not playing. This is the first game without Brock Bueno on the defensive side of the ball. So even though Hutto is hurting, they're still getting in the win column. Especially against EFND, hashtag GTDNA, Georgetown, winning 34-18. That's an impressive win for the Hippos.
I was really curious about this game and kind of concerned for Hutto after the losses that they had. A lot of leadership on both sides of the ball. But Hutto, man, they just got enough athletes to keep on rolling. And I'm sure we're going to probably hear some new names out there that maybe not all the households know yet. So just keep a lookout for Hutto. They're going to be off next week. But then on the 18th of October, a big matchup against in-district foe Cedar Park.
Zach, anything on Hutto?
No, I think we're going to hit on it later when we talk about the top teams in the area. I think this is a game that Hutto definitely needed to win, but I don't think it's a game that we can look like too much into because I don't think this is the Georgetown that we're used to seeing.
Snoop, you got anything on Hutto?
They're really good.
Cedar Creek 17, Bastrop 7. Cedar Creek first ever win over Bastrop.
8 years.
And it was hard for me to believe that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man,
Cedar Creek was bad.
Yeah, they were bad. But I thought, Bastrop hasn't been like the best team, lately.
Yeah, and we got that information from, the GOAT, Snupe Daniel.
Yeah. Well, no, they've never, ever, ever beaten. And it was so funny on Twitter last night. All the Bastrop alumni were quote tweeting the fan stand post of the tweet and were like shaking my head or you can lose all your games, but just don't lose this one and mind blown emoticons. So it's been a total ponage of a program, and then they leave. All of a sudden, they see 17-7 score. By the way, it's back-to-back games. Bastrop only musters 7 points. What's wrong?
Well, first off, shout out Snoop for saying when Paul calls him the GOAT, just kind of agreeing. He knows what's up. But man, when I think of Cedar Creek, I remember when I was in high school and Cedar Creek had just opened. We played them a doubleheader in baseball, and in between games, there was this kid leaning up against their dugout, throwing the ball up and not catching it. Like trying to throw the ball up to himself and not catching it, and then the game started, and that was a starting pitcher.
What?
Yeah.
I guess that's all you needed to know.
That's all I think of when I think of Cedar Creek. So they'll never be good.
Well, I think Bastrop. Those former Bastrop teams didn't have to play against Alfred Collins, so I think that's a big factor in that one. Branham 35, Eastview 30. Eastview's first loss on the season. That seems like it would have been a really good game to go to. So I'm going to try to find some highlights. Maybe we'll get a mixtape going.
There is one coming.
All right, so mixtape coming. Check out Mixtape Tuesday, Fanstand ATX, courtesy of producer, editor extraordinaire, Mr. Snupe Daniel. Weiss 42, Glenn 0.
Shocking.
Shocking.
That's the way I feel about this game because of just the comparison of years from last year to this year. Like Glenn was hot last year, coming in new in the district, and Weiss was struggling. And now in year 2, Weiss is just rolling 2-0 in district, 4-1 overall. So 13-5A. I mean, talk about huge switches in play. But I think earlier when you went to one of their games, Chris, you just saw that different attitude, that swagger that Weiss is coming with, and sometimes it's all it changes to get that mindset different, and you play a lot better.
Well, watching this, seeing highlights and stuff of this Weiss team, Snoop, you might be able to attest to this. It really reminds me of the Hendrickson teams of old. Like there's dudes doing flips after the game and stuff, and all the rest of the team is watching.
In full pads,
right? And that reminds me of 2012. Chance Waz used to do that between games, and it's a team that's rolling in district. They got guys getting big time offers and stuff, and then at the same time we have a Hendrickson team that's really slipping. So I mean, shout out to Rice, shout out to Coach
They're
Allman.
slipping as far as their record is concerned.
Correct.
Because they've been hanging, but just not winning. It looks, dude. I was saying this last night for Cedar Ridge and Hendrickson to be like possibly not making the playoffs. I don't know what universe or galaxy we're living in. It's strange.
I know. Now we're talking about a Weiss school that hadn't even been open.
Yeah, and shutting out Glenn. Last year Glenn getting a share of the district title. This year, kind of limping along right now. But Glenn did have a senior class last year, and Weiss didn't.
Right.
So that means that Weiss is probably going to be, maybe a little bit more experienced. Snoop's got his new phone. He's still learning how to use it.
Was
it's
Gary
okay.
V.
Yeah, I think me some Gary V.
Yeah, that's what I was listening to. Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. Elgin 31, Marble Falls 12, Stony Point 24, Hendrickson 21.
Can I say something about Elgin real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Peter McFarland.
Yeah.
They finally let him go beast mode. They took out their quarterback and went Wildcat. So the Elgin Wildcats went Wildcat. He went off. He had 2 touchdowns over 40 yards, 3 touchdowns total. The Elgin, man, if they let Peter McFarland totally take over, it's going to be a different team. Best quarterback since Terrell Simmons.
Oh,
Wow, that's a few years.
that's high praise. Stony Point 24, Hendrickson 21. Zach, any reaction on that one?
That's the last second field goal, right? I think that ended up winning that game for Stony Point. And I mean that's we still got a long time before this game comes up, but that Stony Point Vandergrift game it's going to be a good one, and especially and I think we could still confidently say that people are sleeping on Stony Point, which you really have no reason to.
So okay, with Stony Point, real quick, I know people are looking at that Vandergrift game, but they still have to beat Vista Ridge and Round Rock before they get there.
I think the Round Rock game will be tougher. The Vista Ridge one, I'm just not a believer. in Vista Ridge. Man.
Really?
After seeing them play, they've beaten people so bad, so often, and scored so many points that when that's not an option, it's almost like they don't know how to bounce back. I mean, they have the talent to run up the score on you. They have the players to run up the score on you, but I don't think they have the mindset yet to win those close games.
Yeah.
And I think that's what that Stony Point game will be.
Yeah, so maybe it's just resiliency that they're lacking right now.
Which still is such a big turnaround from last year. I mean, to be able to do what they've been doing when they're kind of rolling is something that you would have never thought seeing that team last year.
Paul, you got anything? You good?
I'm just looking forward to that end of the year matchup with Stony Point and Vandergrift.
Yeah, Westwood. Go ahead.
Vandergrift is checking off boxes week by week.
Yeah, and
they have to face a big matchup in the last week, so we'll see.
Westwood beats McNeil 38-34. Shout out to RJ Martinez. Another big game by him. And Vandergrift 32. Round Rock 25. Do you want to listen to Coach Sanders' interview with Zach Lucetto first before we talk about this one?
Yeah, let's do that, and then me and you will break it down.
All right, here we go.
All right, Coach, big 32-25 win over a tough Round Rock team. What can you say just about the physicality of your team that they showed today?
Yeah, a tough is an underestimate. I can tell you that, playing those guys. That's a dang good playoff team is what they are. This was a playoff game. That's what I told our guys before the game is this is how you win a state title game is to go and beat teams like this. And it was nice for us to be able to do that.
And then for them on offense, they're big up front. They're big backs, big receivers. What can you say about your defense?
Yeah, we're outsized by a man by 60 pounds. And for us to continue to fight and continue to struggle and find a way to win, it just is a kind of a tip of the cap to the Viper spirit.
And then, Coach, on paper, you'll see all of Drew Dawson's touchdowns, but you're able to establish a run game and kind of keep that going throughout the night. What can you say about the run game with Bowen Lewis and Drew Dawson?
Oh, my goodness. Bowen Lewis did not do it by himself. He looked good. I liked how he made a mistake and he came right back and drove down the field and made some key plays there when we needed to kind of we call it 4-minute offense. We're trying to keep the ball away from the defense. And then you never do it by yourself. That's an offensive line. And we've got a patchwork offensive line. We got a bunch of guys injured right now, and we don't talk about that much. But for us to have guys that step up and the depth we have is tremendous. We pulled up a couple of guys from the JV. They played tonight. And I'm impressed.
And, Coach, like you said, you were able to fight through some injuries. And it's just a huge game. And how important is this win for you?
It is important because I think Round Rock's one of the best teams in the district, and be able to beat them and handle them and keep our winning streak at home too is important. And it was nice to see it.
Impressive. Zach, you're getting better at that. I like your interview style. I know, doesn't he? So,
I'm undefeated. I never lost. I don't know what you're talking about getting better.
It's all right.
This game last night. Shout out to Zach Lucetto first of all, because he got me on the sideline. I did go to the game last night. I know he was giving me a hard time on Wednesday's podcast saying I wasn't going to be there, but I did show up. He did get me on the sidelines. There's a lot of people on the sidelines.
There was a lot of people on the sideline.
They had dad's night last night for Vandegrift, and the dads were on the sidelines for the warm up.
The dads go into the locker room pregame too.
Yeah,
so they get to see how they operate and the speeches and all that stuff. So it's a cool experience.
Yeah. So like our dads were all on the sidelines during warm ups. They go into the locker room. They had a senior night for like the bands and the was it color guard and all that. So they had all this stuff going on. There was a lot going on before this game last night, and I thought it was it was kind of maybe a distraction for the team at first, because Round Rock comes out. This is a testament to Coach Sanders. Round Rock comes out and they're driving down the field. First drive of the game, Sanders calls 2 timeouts.
Really?
Just like
Which
that.
is something you never see.
Right.
You
Off the bat. I mean, within like the first minute of the football game, Sanders calls 2 timeouts.
Trying to stop their momentum.
Stops their momentum.
Because if you've ever been to a Vandergrift game, those are Coach Mauser's timeouts. All 3 of them. Those are offensive timeouts.
Yeah. And so Sanders like, you know what? Round Rock they get 1 first down. They run another play, get a 2 first down, timeout. They get another first down, timeout. Sanders is like, hold on, let me get my defense back, get them focused and just stop the momentum of Round Rock, because he knows that what the Round Rock Dragons want to do is start quick, get on the board really fast. And all Sanders was doing there was slowing the game down, because that's exactly how the Vandergrift Vipers play. And I was just like, it blew my mind. 2 timeouts within the first minute of the game. I thought it was amazing, and I thought it was a big factor especially in the first half of that game, Zach.
And I think the result of that drive, I mean, when you look at the box score and see that they scored on that drive, I think when it comes to momentum, it's a lot different than you see just a score on the opening drive. Me and Snupe were talking about this earlier. First off, they had a fourth and 1 from the 2, so there was an opportunity to get a first down, and if that was 4th and goal from the 2, they would have stopped him because they stopped him before getting in the end zone. So I think that was a huge momentum builder to kind of know, hey, we can do this. But after they got that first down, you kind of knew with the size of Round Rock that they were going to score.
Yeah. And
so they score, and then in typical Vandergrift fashion, they block the extra point.
Yeah.
So as soon as Round Rock wants to steal the momentum for scoring, they block the extra point and are receiving the kickoff after just making a big play.
Yeah, and it was huge. I was like, oh, okay, Round Rock comes out there. And it was almost like, oh man, was that a waste of those 2 timeouts? Not really. I mean, the team kind of came back and, they got the extra point. They got the ball back, drove down the field, had a little tight end seam. It was Drew Dawson's first touchdown pass. And it seemed like it was a play that Round Rock had never seen before. And I was telling Zach this last night. There was a few plays where the Vandergrift receivers were just wide open, like completely open. And to me, Round Rock is too good of a team and too well coached a team for them to just, completely break down and have receivers running wide open like that. So to me, I think there's like 2 or 3 plays during the game that Vandegrift probably hasn't shown on tape before. So and they're ready and able to use those in big games like this.
I told Coach Mauser after the game, I always go up and shake his hand and tell him good game, but he legitimately called a great game. Like I think that's one of the, since I've been covering Vandegrift, that's got to be one of the better games that he's called. And a lot of people give him gripes about sticking with the running game when it's not there, or not letting so and so kind of take over the offense. But he really called a great game last night.
Yeah, and that first half, I think, and I don't know if this was, and it was a big factor. It ended up being, but. End of the first half, Vandegrift gets stopped on 4th down, probably on Round Rock's maybe 30, 40-yard line. The field position wasn't bad. About 54, there was 54 seconds left on the clock here, Paul. Round Rock runs the ball 3 times and then just lets the clock run out. They still had, I think, maybe 1 or 2 timeouts. And although I was on the Vandegrift sideline, you could hear the Round Rock crowd yelling at Coach Gino, like, what are you doing?
Was Round Rock down at this time? Were they down before half?
They were.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes me a little bit curious that maybe Round Rock didn't want to put the ball in the air to maybe possibly lose a turnover and Vandegrift go down and score quickly, or maybe return it for a pick 6. And I think they wanted to kind of have that momentum. Also, who got the ball in the second half first?
Vandegrift.
Wow. So that means they had more incentive, Round Rock did, to score before the end of the half to kind of make it a little bit.
And I was kind of perplexed by the call.
Well, I think going back to watching that sequence of events, I think they might have messed up that last play, because when the clock ran out, there was somebody in motion, like they were about to run a play. So maybe that was about to be the shot they were going to take, and they just didn't get it off. But I was on the sideline talking to Davis Beal, who's a long snapper at the University of Houston now, and I was saying, what do you think? And he was like, they're going to throw it up to Colin 3 times and then go into the locker room, and they didn't do it once.
They didn't do it once. Yeah, and they pretty much, Colin Sullivan had a 1 touchdown last night, and he's this star receiver for Round Rock Dragons. Pretty much, he didn't even get 5 targets. Yeah, it was amazing.
Really?
It was amazing what Vandegrift did last night on defense. And Paul, I was messaging you on the messenger, and Paul, you were like, "What's Vandegrift doing?" And pretty much, they pressed their wideouts. They pressed up, and then they had 2 deep, and it was like cover 2.
That's kind of what I talked about on Wednesday night. What they might do, and I thought that was extremely dangerous.
It was,
because if one receiver gets behind them, that could be a huge chunk play, and that all the momentum swings to Round Rock. So they were just being physical with the receivers all night?
Yes, but I think, they were getting a lot of pressure out of the front 4, which is kind of surprising to me, because that Round Rock offensive line is huge.
Yeah.
You heard Coach Sanders talk about it. They were, when you look at the offensive line versus the defensive line, I was just like, man, how does Vandegrift even have a chance in this game?
So they were just more athletic.
They were getting around them. They were quicker. They were faster. Yeah. Seth Ford had a touchdown run. Seth Ford had some good runs. Quarterback
that offense was really had points, but they were really moving the ball.
They were run.
He was running a lot, and I was talking on the radio broadcast. I was like, it's really interesting to see how teams approach Vandegrift. Hendrickson started a quarterback that hadn't started all year, and then Seth Ford. You talk about how this offense has really changed, and they're throwing the ball a lot more. They're getting the ball out of his hand really quick. He's not running the ball too much, and they come into this game, and he has multiple design runs in that first drive. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like teams are saving stuff on the tape because they know that Vandegrift is so good schematically that they have to save some stuff to kind of try to catch these guys off guard.
Yeah, and what was working for Round Rock was the run game, just off
14,
tackle.
Number 14,
Jordan Smart. Yeah,
that kid is shifty. That kid is shifty.
Yeah, Jordan Smart getting the ball. They didn't really get him that much. I thought maybe they tried to do some like jet sweep style stuff with Jordan Smart, but Vandegrift's was just their pursuit is amazing, and they're just
that does not surprise me from.
And they set the edge really well, I think.
Yeah, they just stretch it out until the guy runs into the sideline, and that's pretty much what they did with Jordan Smart. The success on the ground game was with Israel Morgan. Anything off tackle was working for them. They were just blocking down on one side. I mean, just to, kind of a little hesitant, just get it off the tackle. And I was kind of surprised that Round Rock just didn't keep doing that, and they did that. There was one drive, I think it was in the third quarter, where they ran the ball down the field and then they finally threw it up to Colin and he just made a play. That was Colin Sullivan's, touchdown. So this is, I have to talk about Coach Sanders real quick.
I got someone you know.
The guy's amazing, man. Like, he was out on the field beforehand. He was, saying hi to people. He's never even seen me. He was kind of walking by me, and I was just like, "Hey, Coach, good luck." And he shook my hand. He was like, "Oh, thanks a lot." He was like a politician, but he knows football, and the way the Vandegrift Vipers run their offense. I mean, they huddle up. It's pro style. They're slowing it down. They want to run the ball, maybe put it up a little bit, run some crossing routes, maybe, get some routes going to the sideline. But he manages the game. And then he talked about that 4-minute offense at the end.
Right.
That they got the ball with 5:42 left in the game.
Vandegrift you look at the clock and there's a minute left.
And then there was a minute left. I mean, they just ran the ball down the field. They get a first and goal at the 5-yard line, and they're able to just kneel it and win the game 32-25. I mean, it was amazing.
I was thinking about this game and how tight it was, and how we all knew Round Rock was just a bigger, more physical team than Vandegrift, and how they were going to overcome this. This win did not come last night, in my opinion. This win came 2 and 3 years ago when Coach Sanders was having these young men who are juniors and seniors as freshmen and sophomores, instituting his style of play, his traditions, and what he wants the community to be through these young men. And they executed it tonight. And he's talking about state titles. He's not talking about playoff wins. He's talking about all or nothing. And he's built that program from the ground up. And Zach, you talked about it earlier in our early podcast about how he's going to the Pop Warner games and he's telling these coaches this is the way we needed to run it, so that when they're in junior high and high school, it's all muscle memory and they can just execute. And I think that's the genius behind Drew Sanders. Does he make great in-game adjustments? Yes, but it's all because the kids have the muscle memory to execute the plays that he calls rather than think about the play and then perform.
Exactly. I mean, you see Coach Sanders and Snoop. I know you've had a good relationship with Coach Sanders as well, and a lot of those dads and stuff that he's talking to on the sideline, kind of those influential Vandegrift dads. Mm-hmm. What they're doing right now is coaching Pop Warner, and all those guys. Pop Warner is so big in that area, and it's almost like in spite of the Pop Warner success in like Lake Travis and Westlake, because they all play each other. But Coach Sanders is friends and talks regularly to all of those guys that coach Pop Warner at every level. Their offense and defensive schemes are implemented in both middle schools. So I mean, it's just these kids have played with each other forever. There's a guy. Scott Schaffner, who does some of the color commentary for the Vandegrift radio broadcast with me, and he knows all of these kids. His son graduated last year, but he knows freshmen. He knows kids that are in 8th grade coming up because he coached them in Pop Warner, and these kids are turning out to be the big time players for Vandegrift, despite how big or how fast they are. Just they've had the talent since Pop Warner, and it just stays with them.
All right, so the Vandegrift Vipers with the 32-25 win over Round Rock last night. They got McNeil, then Westwood. It's going to be their homecoming. And they've got Leander and then Stony Point at the end of the season. We'll see, Stony Point, we mentioned earlier, they still got, some tests before them, but Vandegrift just looming at the end of the season on that schedule. Round Rock Dragons, how do they bounce back from this? Snoop?
They'll be fine. I mean, they lost to one of the best teams in the state by a touchdown, and they led at some point late. I think Round Rock is gold.
Yeah.
All they have to do is just not get in their feelings.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they need to work on that defense, though. There were some points that defense you were talking about, those plays where guys were running wide open, and Round Rock ran a couple of those plays where guys weren't wide open and they thought they would be. So I think that this is probably the worst Round Rock defense I've seen in a little while, and I think that's a big deal, especially in this district.
Well, you know what, Jordan Smart, number 14, he's not playing defense anymore. He was a strong safety last year, and now playing offense. So
Yeah, they've got Round Rock's got Leander next week.
Yep. Good bounce back
and then
game.
Yeah, good bounce back game. But listen to this schedule for the Round Rock Dragons. The last 4 games: Stony Point, Cedar Ridge, Hendrickson, Vista Ridge. Those are 4 tough ball games, fellas. So the Round Rock Dragons, they started out really well. They're still averaging 46 points a game. That's kind of a murderer's row right there in the last 4 weeks for them.
I think the rest of these teams are going to feel the full wrath and the full athletic ability of the Round Rock Dragons. I really do. They played a great game.
They did.
They played a tight game.
They did.
They could have won the game.
They could have.
If the moment maybe just wasn't too big, because that's what it seems like to me. It was just a little too big for them. But what a way to get a learning experience. And sometimes for those teams who just need a little bit of reassurance of how good they are, they need an L. You take that L and you use it as motivation, and then you go out to the playoffs and you let all these teams know just how great you are.
Like, look at Paul. Paul's making all these great points, and every week on the podcast he takes the L and debates with me. So he's just getting better and better.
If I don't take L's, I just learn, bro. That's my L.
Lake Travis 59, Lehman 7. Big win for the Cavaliers. Seguin 50, Crockett 0, Dripping Springs 43, McCallum 21. Shout out to the Travis Rebels, 43-0 winning over Lanier. First win in 18 games.
Yeah.
18-game losing
20
streak.
actually.
20 games?
Yeah, the kids came out this morning and was like, can you change it to 20? We just signed up. Yeah, they bet back-to-back,
Wow.
Travis has been atrocious.
Yeah. So 43-0 win. Shout out to Travis. LBJ 49-0 winners over Reagan. And Bowie 22, Anderson 21. I got to find some highlights of that. We're gonna have to check out some mixtapes on that one too.
So on the Recon Athlete Instagram page, every week we put up the 2 teams, and it's a poll. You can pick who you want to win, and Anderson got 0 votes. Bowie had all the love, so everybody was pro Bowie. And I think that score just shows how good Anderson is. And their only 2 losses were to Hayes and Bowie. I mean, for 25-6A, I mean, I know they haven't played the Lake schools yet, but, man, that's a tough district and only have 2 losses. Not that bad, but it's not going to probably bode well after the Lake schools.
All right, so that'll wrap up our high school coverage. We'll talk about next week on Wednesday. Thanks again to Zach for getting me on the sidelines, man. I had a great time last night. Who was your friend you were talking to, by the way?
You look sad because whenever I brought you your wristband to get on the sideline, you were just sitting in the stands all alone. Nobody around you.
I know, dude. That was hard for me to make friends.
I mean, I don't know. You always say that you want to sit, that you want to watch from the stands, but I was like, dang, I don't know how you do it because you're not a friendly dude. So you just you just sitting there by yourself.
ReconAthlete.com podcast, and before we wrap up the high school coverage, Mr. Paul Rodriguez went out east.
Road tripping.
A road trip. How was that last night, Paul?
It was a great thing to behold. I was very happy to be there. Actually, my pops went with me, and he had some thoughts on the game last night.
Papa Romeo here. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I had a great evening last night visiting the Flatonia Bulldogs and really enjoyed watching old school Ironman football there with some great kids. At number 60 is a stud, Cam Becker, did a fantastic job. Yeah, I think he's got a really good future ahead of him. A lot of those other kids played very well too. I'm sorry it didn't go their way. That's why we play the game, because we don't know what's going to happen. But I think these kids come from very good stock there in Flatonia, and they're going to bounce back and learn from this experience, and I think they're going to do very, very well.
I appreciate that. That was my dad, Papa Romeo. Last night, he had a good time too, man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the game did not go the way of the Bulldogs last night. They lost 19-7. They started out slow, Chris. Really didn't get going until the second quarter. And you know me, my tongue is not light when it comes to the officials.
Mm-hmm.
This crew was out of Austin, Texas, and 3 calls that should have been in the favor of the Bulldogs did not go their way. Late in the fourth quarter, they were down by 6. The Bulldogs were, and it was 13-7, and they caused the fumble with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they recovered the fumble. Scrum happened. Officials got in late. Weimer wound it up with the football. They got the ball, and the kids were just a little let down, and they gave up another 7 points on a big run. Ended up the game 19-7 in favor of the Weimar Wildcats. They were undefeated as well. Both teams were 5-0. But again, just like how Ranrock had that tough loss, Flatonia is going to have a tough loss. And I was talking to the kids. I just told a couple kids last night, like, look, you need these kind of losses. Learn from it, bounce back, and get back on the horse because you want to make your noise in the playoffs, not non-district.
Yeah, it's non-district game. I mean, it does, affect you with momentum and all that, but, taking a loss in a non-district game, not a big a deal, as in district. And of course, once you get in the playoffs, you win and you keep on, and you're in. You get to keep on moving. But, lose and go home on that point. But right now, tough loss for the Flatonia Bulldogs, but this isn't the end of the world for them.
I just want to say thank you very much to the Flatonia community. They were very comforting. They helped us. They were accommodating. That's what I'm looking for. To Recon Athlete. Man, they have such a small stadium, but Chris, you had everybody was sitting together. It was tight. It was little town, small town football. And I just wanted to say shout out to Lawman ATX, Chris and Julie Becker. Thank y'all very much for being welcoming and for helping us out with the press passes. Well, we will definitely be back, especially probably during playoff time.
All right, so Flatonia losing to Weimar last night, 19-7. All right, let's get to the NFL. Jets versus Eagles. I tried to pick up the Eagles defense, but everybody wanted them from my fantasy football league. Sam Darnold ever going to come back? When's he going to come back? Anybody know?
They said he could be possibly cleared to play this Sunday, but I don't think it will be probably till a couple weeks from now.
Got to take care of that spleen.
I heard he's getting tested for chicken pox now.
Now that he had mono.
That's a dangerous thing as an adult.
So is mono.
It is. Well, your
So is
spleen is
football.
enlarged, so you have to change. I mean, you can literally get your spleen split and die. That's why you couldn't play.
Okay,
So is football. Football dangerous too.
Well, yeah, football is dangerous. Jets, Eagles, what's the line on there, Paul?
So Jets, Eagles, the line is Philadelphia is a 14-point favorite.
Whoa.
No love for the Jets.
Well, duh.
Don't they have a third-string quarterback too right now?
Yeah.
Luke Falk.
Yeah,
Washington State, baby.
Washington State. So you got to. I mean, I think it'd be.
I'm not saying you can't rip it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you might want to hand that ball to Le'Veon a couple times.
All right.
Nah, he needs to sit back there and just rip heaters all the game.
Paul, you got the lines and games in front of you. Why don't you guide us through this?
So we'll go ahead and run it down. I'm going to save the Dallas and the Houston game for last. Cardinals at Bengals. These are matchup of no-win teams.
Arizona get their first win?
The line is the Bengals are a 3-point favorite. It's 50-50.
50-50.
Kyler get his first win against the
No.
spread?
No.
Against the spread?
I got the Bengals. Yeah. I got the Bengals.
With the spread or against it?
I don't know the difference, to be honest.
So do they get the 3 points?
Yeah.
Then, yeah, he gets the win if they get the 3 points.
The Bungles.
Man, talk about drama. Moving on, Bills at Titans. Titans are a 2.5-point favorite.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Titans at home.
Is Josh Allen playing?
Yes, he is.
Oh, I gotta go Bills.
How come Marcus Mariota ain't getting no love this year?
Bro, Corey Davis went off last week,
Still.
so I don't know why their Titans are such a not even
Marcus Mariota, like nobody is talking about him at all.
Yeah,
He's
because
having
the
a great-
Titans don't want anybody to talk about him because they don't want to pay him.
He's introverted. That's all. That's the other half of it.
But is he not? I mean, I don't know. Am I wrong here? Is he not having a great season? I mean, Tennessee's doing pretty well. I mean,
He's not starting for fantasy in any of the leagues I'm in. Just saying.
well, I mean, but still, I mean, you don't have to be a fantasy star to be a good quarterback, right?
500, Chris.
I don't know. But
He does this every year though.
And the AFC South is weak.
all right. Well, I'll go with the Bills in this one.
I'm saying Chicago Bears at Raiders. Chicago is a 5.5-point favorite.
That's it.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack said he circled this game. He said he's been waiting. So I think it'll be a fun game to watch.
Revenge game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Snoop.
Revenge game. I'm starting the Chicago defense just for that.
Yeah.
And all my DFS.
Oh, there you go.
Buccaneers at Saints. Saints are a 3-point favorite.
I think that line is too close, and people are looking too much into that Bucks game last week.
Bruce Arians told Jameis Winston last week just to rip it.
Yeah.
I mean, just throw the ball. Whatever happens, happens. Let your 6'5" receiver go get it.
If Mike Evans has another big game, I'm doing the McCaffrey trade to pick him up.
Yeah, and they're only getting 3 points. So wait, Saints are at home?
Yeah, it's a 3-point favorite.
So basically Vegas is saying that the Buccaneers are as good as the Cowboys.
Well, that was yes.
Wow.
Without Drew Brees.
Yeah. He's just a quarterback, by the way.
He's just a quarterback.
Yeah. All right.
Vikings at Giants. Minnesota's a 5.5-point favorite with the game manager at QB.
The Giants need to win this game so Kirk Cousins can get exiled to Lonely Island.
He's still getting paid though.
He's what is that? The $84 million I think he's getting?
I think it's like
$84 million. Wow.
I think it's like $13 million guaranteed per year.
He need to go play with Chris Paul and John Wall with all the other bad contracts that are out there.
But I tell you what, like 2 weeks ago, Tony Pollard was my guy. Last week it was Preston Williams, who didn't have a big game, but he still had 4 catches and 80-something yards. I can't remember. This week I think it's going to be Kirk Cousins. I think
just goes off.
I think you can probably get Kirk Cousins really cheap in DFS, like DraftKings and Fantasy. You could probably get him like super duper cheap. And the New York Giants are a terrible team, so he could still have a decent game. I don't know. Last week I was touting Case Keenum, and that was
yeah.
But
I watched the game.
Who do you think will win in a fight, Case Keenum or Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins are healthy. Nick Foles.
Case Keenum went to Houston, man. He played at Houston Cougars.
Yeah, that's true.
Kirk Cousins are healthy. Nick Foles.
Nick Foles.
Snoop, what do you think about that one? Kirk Cousins or Nick Foles?
In a fight.
In a fight? Yeah. Kirk Cousins. Nick Foles is string bean.
Do you think he says you like that in the fight? I don't think I'd want to fight him. I don't think I'd want to fight him. Okay, you think? Okay. Another random question I want to ask. You think Tom Brady can dunk right now?
No, not right now.
No.
So he had like he's what is he like? He's like 6'5".
Yeah.
He had like a 20-something inch vertical. So you got to say his wingspan's like another 2 feet on top of his height. So that's already 8-something. That's 2 feet right there with his vertical.
But you have to get the ball over the rim.
Yeah.
Not to the rim.
He could. I think he could. I think he's yamming on all of y'all, Tom Brady. But
nah. Are they even playing this week?
Yeah. Who do they have? They have the Redskins.
Colt
McCoy.
Oh yeah, Colt McCoy's playing. Yeah.
That's going to be our next game after this.
Yeah. What's the spread? Or
let's do the Ravens at Steelers, and then we'll go to Patriots, Redskins. Ravens at Steelers. Baltimore 3.5-point favorite.
Ravens Steelers 3.5 points.
Ravens on the road.
Rivalry game. Steelers at home. Steelers just won big at home against the Bengals.
I picked up Samuels off waivers.
Lamar Jackson versus Mason Rudolph. I got to go Ravens.
Yeah.
If Steelers can run the ball after what Chubb did against the Baltimore last week, then I'd take the Steelers.
Run the ball with Jalen Samuels.
With Connor or
I'm
Samuels.
starting both of them.
I mean,
Samuels and
they had 20. Connor had 26 points and Samuels had 24 points last week in fantasy.
So start both Connor and Samuels.
I mean, if they're going to use Samuels at a Wildcat, heck yeah.
Okay.
Patriots at Redskins. The Patriots are a 16-point favorite.
Colt McCoy covers.
Colt McCoy covers, huh?
Yeah. Shout out Colt McCoy.
After what Buffalo did last week, yeah, that's probably pretty close because it was 16-10 final. Patriots at Buffalo.
Did I miss something? Did Haskins get hurt or something?
No, but Colt McCoy is probably better right now. And Jay Gruden does not like Haskins. He was handpicked by Snyder, owner of Washington.
Okay.
So and then you heard what happened with Jay Gruden over the past couple of days, right? Apparently, he was videotaped being under the influence of possibly chemical marijuana.
oh,
So he was macking on some girls.
Oh, really?
And laughing hysterically, and then he noticed he was being filmed, and smoke blew out, and he threw something on the ground.
Well, maybe he was just vaping or something.
It was it didn't look like a vape mechanical device.
Oh, well, I wouldn't know.
Who do you think wins in the fight, Colt McCoy or Chase Daniel?
Colt McCoy.
Chase Daniel.
He from the sticks.
Chase Daniel.
Colt McCoy hunts.
Okay.
Well, I'm not talking about shooting each other. Jesus.
Jaguars at Panthers. Carolina's a 3-point favorite with
Jaguars at Panthers. Carolina.
Gardner Minshew's a 3-point underdog?
Mm-hmm.
He's a 3-point underdog. Yeah, so he's getting 3 points. He's getting 3 points.
Against Kyle Allen?
Against Carolina.
First of all, I'm not even gonna ask that question because Gardner Minshew would pummel.
I think Gardner Minshew's a lover, not a fighter.
Nah, I think Gardner Minshew would throw some hands for fun.
It's possible, but
Is he drunk?
No, he don't need to be. He high on life.
He high on something.
3-point favorite.
Gardner Minshew has black friends. He can fight for sure.
Yes, I agree.
Who's the favorite?
And he's
again?
gonna cover. Oh my god.
Carolina's the
favorite. I got to go Jaguars on that. I got to go Gardner. I can't go. I mean, we are the official partner podcast of Gardner Minshew. And by the way, all of a sudden, Gardner Minshew is like everybody's talking about him. And I was like, man, we've been talking about Gardner Minshew since day one. Like, you know, when we first. Even when he came in for Nick Foles,
like podcast 8.
Yeah, I mean, this was 14. Like, and then all of a sudden, it's like a big thing to everybody's like on the Gardner Minshew bandwagon, man. I mean, we started that bandwagon, right, Zach?
Yeah, we did. We found his name in the archives and just ran with it.
Yep.
We found his 70s picks, and that's all we needed to know. Colts at Chiefs. KC 11-point favorite.
That's it.
Yep.
Jacoby Brissett's been my fantasy quarterback for a while. I think they can hang, especially against the Chiefs defense.
You starting Brisket?
Yeah.
I guess he is doing
in the
decent.
season long.
Yeah.
In my season long, he's been my quarterback. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. Chiefs.
But they cover? Just because the Chiefs cover?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
11 o'clock kick. 11 o'clock kick. Let's edit that.
Which is
Falcons at Texans.
Falcons what?
Dictation.
You mean a noon kick?
Houston's a noon kick. Sorry.
Yeah.
Houston's a 4-point favorite.
Houston's a 4-point favorite.
Sucks.
Yeah, they are. Well,
Their offensive line is horrible.
yeah, they're pretty bad.
Didn't they get the Laramie Tunsil guy?
Yeah, but that's one person.
They need 5.
He hadn't even looked good either.
He hasn't.
I'm gonna go Houston on this one.
I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna go Houston on that team.
Yeah.
All right.
And the America's Game of the Week, Zach Lucero's Green Bay Packers versus the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas
Versus
is
every Mexican's Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas is a 3.5-point favorite. Still, it was the same as last.
Boodle Cowboys. 5-point favorite?
3.5.
Oh, 3.5. Zach?
The pack, man. With I think without Devontae Adams, I think people are like starting to write this game off a little bit. But I don't, man.
Yeah, because they are.
You can't forget about Geronimo Allison.
Right, that's my boy.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
But I think Aaron Rodgers is one of those quarterbacks that just. I think Aaron Rodgers made Devontae Adams. So I think Aaron Rodgers can get hot with anybody. Like you said, Geronimo Allison is a threat. Valdez-Scantling is a threat. He's still got Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham's just kind of waiting to go off. He needs to quit trying to catch the ball in one hand.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
Aaron Jones.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if they cover, but they definitely win straight up.
You saying Green Bay wins straight up?
Yeah.
No.
Turn your mic on, Paul.
No, they don't. I was blowing my nose, and so I had to make sure it wasn't on the audio. No, I don't think they win straight up. I think they need the points, but I don't think Dallas is going to cover. I think this is going to be like a 1 or 2 point game like last week because I just think they're that evenly matched. And Kellen Moore, run the ball.
Hasn't it been like, I don't know, Packers have won like the last 5 or 6 games, right?
Against
A
the
lot.
Cowboys, yeah.
A lot.
So the Cowboys are due, right?
Yeah, but you could say that for any game they play.
That's true. Are we still?
The Packers just lost, so they're due for a win.
Yeah.
So I want to know what are y'all putting on the line?
He wants a Blake Martinez jersey.
Yeah, what do you want?
I'm trying to
I
think.
mean, I just got you sideline access to a game, so let's just think of that.
We still owe you pluckers.
You didn't have to pay for that though. Blake Martinez jersey, that's going to be expensive, yo.
Well, yeah. Well, the experience of seeing that game is priceless.
You could have paid $10 to see that experience.
On the sideline.
Could have been at the 50-yard line with a better view.
Those are reserved. You can't sit there.
You can't buy reserve tickets? Exactly.
Okay, maybe. I don't know.
Give me a $50 gift card to Revelry on the Boulevard.
All right, deal.
All right. We're going to shout out our sponsors, Lawman ATX, Kreitz Market, and
You want to do the Monday night game?
who's Monday night?
The Baker Mayfields, Cleveland Browns versus the 49ers, the Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, man, I don't think nobody would have missed that. Browns and 49ers.
49ers, 5-point favorite.
49ers been rolling, but this is kind of what they do every year. And then Jimmy Garoppolo goes out with a porn star and gets written off. So
they haven't been 3-0 in like 15 years.
Yeah, but they looked good last year until he got hurt.
Yeah, because he got hurt.
Right.
Nick Chubb, huge game last week.
He does it again.
I think I'm going to go with Browns.
Yeah, me too. I'll take the 5 points.
I'll go Browns straight up.
All right. Want to shout out to Snupe Daniel for joining us today. Zach Lucero, thank you, sir, once again for getting me on the sidelines at the Vandergrift Round Rock game.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Great game to be at, by the way. Paul Rodriguez, thank you for just being you, buddy. I mean, you're a great guy.
Papa Romeo, appreciate you on the insight, Flatonia.
Yeah, shout out to Flatonia Bulldogs. Catch us on Wednesday. Paul, do your thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all are digging the podcast, please like, subscribe, and let us know what team you root for in the comments down below. For always, click the bell.
Hey, wah, 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 she give me